All right. Colorado State. Colorado State's just not that good of a program, but neither is Texas. I'm joking. That's a win. At Michigan, though, right off the bat, week 2, where is Michigan? We have a good feeling of where Texas is, right? I mean, where's Michigan after everything that's going on? And there's more drama coming around at Michigan. I mean, have you not heard the latest news? Sharon Moore, whatever his name is, he's now apparently deleted some text. Apparently, they were all on this, allegedly, all in this scandal, except, was it Jim Harbaugh or is it John? I confuse the brothers all the time, but I think it was Jim Harbaugh.
It's Jim, but that's complete BS. I mean,
yeah, so he didn't know anything about it, even though he's the head coach of this university. But apparently, everybody else was in on this. I don't know what's to come of it. I do know they go to the big house. I'm telling you, this could be a trap game for Texas. But Texas won the last big test they had in a week 2 game, and they went on the road to do it. I think they do it again. I think they pull out the win against Michigan. Again, I think Michigan sold their soul for that season last year, and I think you're going to see a lot of that this year. I don't think Michigan's a competitive team. I think they literally could go 9-3 in one of the weaker conferences. Yes, I just said the Big Ten's a weak conference, and they are. Look at it. It's Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Who? Nobody. All right. Well, now, Jesus Christ, I forgot about the whole, whatever. Yes, exactly. UTSA would be in that conference. Hey, San Antonio would absolutely be in that. I think they get the win there. UL Monroe, they get the win there. And then they get the bye week before Mississippi State. No, I'm joking. They don't get the bye week before Mississippi State. But honestly, that's how we've been seeing it. Mississippi State, they get the win there, and they do actually get a helpful bye week before the Oklahoma game. The Texas State Fair.
Yep.
For that Red River
shootout.
Yeah, exactly, dude. So Texas gets it done this year. I think they get it done over Oklahoma. They've always, I feel like, been the better team, but some reason they just always choke it to Oklahoma. But I think this year they get it done before losing to Georgia. I just don't think after the win over Oklahoma they can keep it going with Georgia. It is what it is. Sue me, whatever. They go to Vanderbilt. Now that place is going to be rocking. And Justin even said this. 11-1, we lose to Vanderbilt. Now, in my scenario, you'd actually be 10-2, brother, because I'm telling you, Vanderbilt Stadium renovations, this place is going to be loud, mostly because they just got a lot of speakers and not a lot of fans. But either way, it's going to be bumping. And if Vanderbilt can get this done, expect a world record single file line onto the field. But it's not going to happen. Texas is going to get that win there. I don't even think that's a close game. They get another bye week before playing Florida. Now, I don't think this bye week really helps them that much because Vanderbilt was not really a contested game, in my opinion. So they probably get 2 or 3 weeks before playing Florida. They get Florida at home. It's a pretty good trip for Florida, honestly. If from down to Gainesville all the way over to Austin, I think they get the win over Florida. They can't overlook Florida, but at this point, I think we both agree that Florida could be on a downward trajectory pretty hard. I think this is in the middle of Florida's 5-game stupid stretch.
Yep.
And this is just game 2 of it. So buckle up if you're Florida Gator fans, because that's going to be a rough stretch. And I hope y'all get 1 or 2 out of it, even as a Tennessee fan. But I hope you have a losing season. But I mean, if I had to pull for you, get one of those 5, sure, just to feel good about it. But I mean, I still think you're going to be 6-6, 5-7. At Arkansas, this is a big rivalry game, I think. It's not going to matter. Texas is going to win it. Kentucky. What do we think about Kentucky? We've already told you what we thought about Kentucky, and it ain't good, at least in my opinion. So give me Texas in that game. And then you got A&M. You're going to A&M, the 12th man, and my God. A&M would love nothing more than to be sitting at 7-4 and ready to spoil your dreams right here in the final game of the season. And they could have a chance to do it. I don't think it's going to happen. It's not my prediction. But if you're Texas, you can't beat Oklahoma and then lose to A&M in your first season in the SEC. You can't lose to A&M when you're right. You imagine the crap talk from A&M under first-year head coach Mike Oko, and then losing in your not homecoming, but first year freshman season in the SEC. You can't lose to little brother. So I got Texas going 11-1 with the ceiling being 12-0. Obviously, you could absolutely beat Georgia. I think you're on par with Georgia. I just think Georgia gets it done, especially because you host Georgia. I think that's a big deal. I think the floor is, I think it's only 10-2. I think this Texas team is in for a great season. I think the only other loss that they have, oh my God, breaking news. Justin agrees with me. Like, even with the L, like, this is insane. The guys, we have to note it. Go ahead, clip it, because this is the only time I'm ever going to see that comment under my name. Okay. But with everything going on, I think the only other loss they could really have is probably A&M. Maybe Oklahoma, I guess, because those are both good rivalries. But I don't think they lose to both of them. So I cannot see this team going 9-3, even in the worst case scenario. I think it's 10-2 or 12-0, and I'm going with 11-1 here.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert. Justin also agrees with me because I'm gonna have the exact same one. But I do want to talk about some of these games going down through here. So I'll talk about.
This has got to be the first time that's happened.
Yeah, it might be.
There's no stairs in Austin, Matt says. fair enough, dude. Fair enough. But this has got to be the first time all freaking year that we've done this. I guess in the last 4 or 5 weeks that we've done this. So
yeah. So how about the easy schedule that Texas has in their first conference?
I mean,
you do get Georgia.
You get the high emotional games with Oklahoma and Texas A&M because I think those are going to be wild. But really, I mean, we're talking 3 games that are seriously competitive. Yeah,
you don't play
Michigan. Let's not overlook Michigan. But I think Michigan's
I've
not going to be good.
I've got thoughts on Michigan, and I will give them to you.
Yeah, I don't think Michigan's going to be good this year, man. I just don't. But whatever. This could be one of those like Georgia versus Oregon games a couple of years ago where Texas could beat Michigan 53 to freaking like nothing. Like it could be really bad. And I mean, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, you don't pull Ole Miss, you don't pull Missouri, you don't pull Tennessee, you don't pull Alabama. Such an
man, he's already getting confident. I don't like it. He said we don't need Bama this year because we don't whip Bama. All right, son.
And there we go.
They still made it as far as you did in the playoff. That's crazy.
Yeah. So starting off with Colorado State, you get a win there. Michigan, week 2. I have got Michigan going 7-5 this year.
I'm telling you, I can see that.
I'm not going to break down their schedule because this is, we're focused on the SEC, but Michigan is not going to be good this year. Texas is going to do just what you said. They're going to go up there and they're going to absolutely whoop the crap out of Michigan in that game.
Big
even in Ann Arbor.
Big statement game.
Yeah, Texas is going to win handily over Michigan there. You get wins over UTSA and UL Monroe before going to Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State is going to put up some points in this game, but I think Texas has just got too many Jimmys and Joes on this team, and they're gonna win by a couple of touchdowns. But I think that Mississippi State will hang with them for just a little bit in this game. You do, as you mentioned, get the bye week before playing against Oklahoma. The past couple of years, I think Justin said this last week, they have lost 2 straight against Oklahoma. And 2 games where you had, you had the lead. And in one of those years, you were up by like 28, I think, in the first half, or maybe even going into the third quarter, and ended up losing that lead. But I don't think that happens this year. I think Texas gets the win in this one in Dallas. Coming off the emotional high of that win against Oklahoma, I do think that you see a little bit of a letdown against Georgia. It's going to be a close game, but I'm going to take Georgia right now just until Georgia proves that I can't trust them. So Georgia wins this game. Vanderbilt, there's going to be more Texas fans than there are Vanderbilt fans there. You get a win there. Florida, as we mentioned, this is in that brutal 5-game stretch at the end of the season. Texas is going to win this one and probably win it pretty easily. Arkansas, this has not been a big rivalry in our lifetime, but you go back to the 90s and before then, even back when they were in the Big 8, this was a huge rivalry. I love that this rivalry is going to come back, maybe depending on what they do as far as 8-game or 9-game schedules. But I don't think it's going to be close this year, and Texas wins this one easily. You get an easy win over Kentucky, next to last game of the season, and tuning up for Texas A&M. It's going to be a tough game. The first time we've seen this game since 2012 or 2011.
I think it was 11. 2012 was Johnny Ball, and they were in the SEC, I believe.
That's right. So. That's right. I think you do get a win, but it's going to be close in this one.
I'm telling you, Kyle Field's going to be rocking, dude.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you as far as ceiling and floor as well. I think absolutely they can go 12-0 by beating Georgia. And I don't think you lose to both Oklahoma and Texas A&M. I think that you split those games, and the worst that you do is 10-2 this year.
I think that's it. I think Texas, a lot like Ole Miss, has to take advantage of this opportunity. Even with the Georgia game, I'm sorry, I did choose, I guess, Ole Miss over Texas here, but you have to capitalize. Like this year, this is probably going to be the easier of the schedules you'll get in the SEC, and it just so happened it was your first year in it. But Justin comes in. He says he thinks that the floor could be the fact that they lose to A&M and Oklahoma and Georgia. So he thinks 9-3 is the floor. So technically, he doesn't agree with us 100%. That's okay. I didn't think it was really normal that he was agreeing with me anyways. He thinks that Texas loses to A&M to knock them out of the playoffs.
A&M would absolutely
so that would have to so they would have to lose to Oklahoma and Georgia and be 9-2, right? Because at that point, that would be the only way to they would have to be 9-3.
Well,
because I think a 10-2 Texas team could absolutely be in the playoff.
I think they can, but we talked about it a little bit off air. I think that the SEC has a legitimate possibility to have maybe 4 teams at 11-1, maybe more than that at 11-1 by the end of the season. And if you're a Texas team that is at 10-2 with, we'll just go with 3 SEC teams sitting at 11-1, man, you're on the chopping block there of not making the playoffs. And that also depends on what some of the other teams in other conferences do as well.
Yeah, look, I'm going to hit this comment real quick. A&M has something to prove since we beat them last game. When they were in the Big 12, I think that was back in 2011. Okay, that's true. Let's just point out the obvious here. The way the schedule – I mean, we're talking Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas. I'm going to throw in Alabama. I have to throw in Missouri because of their schedule.
Yeah.
That is almost a guaranteed 5 teams over 10-2. I would say guaranteed 5 teams over 10-2. I want to throw in Tennessee in there as almost a guaranteed 10-2, but a lot of things have to happen for Tennessee to do it. Not a lot. I mean, I think Tennessee should be 9-3, if not 10-2. But I mean that obviously coming from a fan. But I just think it's almost a given that you have to be at least 10-2 if you want to sniff the playoff in the SEC. And like you pointed out, you almost have to be 11-1. Yeah, because you're going to have probably – I don't know if you'll have a single undefeated team in the SEC, but you will have several at 11-1 and 10. The way the schedules are worked out. I mean, so what happens when you add a bunch of teams and you only play 8 games is you got a lot of teams that don't play each other. So it's almost possible for these teams to go undefeated in the same conference. You could almost have 2, maybe 3. I don't know how it would work out for 3, but you could almost have 2 or 3 teams be undefeated at the end of the year.
Yeah, but I will say this: if Texas goes 10-2 this year, you're looking at a loss to we both said Georgia, and either Oklahoma or Texas A&M. Here's an argument for them to not make the playoffs. Look at your other wins on the schedule, especially if these teams finish where we think they will. Mississippi State, we said what? Or I said 6-6. You said I think 4-8.
Yeah, I was not.
You're looking in the bottom half of the conference. Vanderbilt gonna be the bottom half. Florida bottom half. Arkansas Kentucky. Bottom half. Kentucky probably right in the middle somewhere. If you can't win the games against Oklahoma, against Georgia, against Texas A&M,
who are your quad 1 wins if you put it in basketball terms?
I mean, like Michigan, but at that point, are they gonna be towards the top. I mean, you don't have that
Yeah,
standout.
you're talking Michigan will be a ranked game because it's early in the year. But
Yep.
at that point, maybe Oklahoma being a ranked team because their schedule at the beginning of the year is actually pretty easy. Georgia's going to be ranked, so that's 3 teams. And then who's going to be ranked after that? I don't think you'll have another ranked matchup. I don't think Texas A&M will be ranked. I just think that'll be a highly emotional games. You have a possibility of only 3 ranked games. Remember, was it last year or the year before when we played 7 ranked teams?
Yeah, that was 2022.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you're absolutely right. They have to win the games that are, they're tougher opponents. Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia, they have to take care of business because if they don't, their wins don't really carry a lot of weight. I think you're 100% right. Even though they're in the SEC, yes, we're saying that, but look at the opponents, guys. I mean, they're not great teams. I mean, Florida should be. Absolutely, historically has been. Just right now, I mean, there are 3 back-to-back losing seasons in which they went 6-7, 5-7, and 5-7. I mean, what is Florida going to be this year? I don't know. I think that's right. 5-7. It might have been 5-7.
I think it was
5-7.
Yeah, 5-7, 6-7, and 5-7.
Sorry. Either way, 7 losses in 3 straight years. So, yeah. I mean, we'll see. But overall, you've already said your floor and ceiling's pretty much lined up with mine.